Hi. I I don't know how long this is going to last because I feel like my camera is so heavy and keeps falling. But welcome to the GlamLife podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Rocca. You might know me as Victoria Glam if you follow me over on Instagram, which you totally should, at victoria.glam. And you can follow this podcast over at the Glam Life podcast, or you can find us right here on YouTube. So today I want to talk a little bit about, I had this actual as a special request. Someone DM'd me and asked specifically for this information. They wanted to know about my first year in business, what were some of the challenges, and how did we basically navigate them. So let's talk about it. Number one, I think the first thing that you go through is the second that you graduate the class, you get your certificate. Everything feels amazing in that moment because someone has been sitting there holding your hand, telling you what to do next, telling you you're doing great, or how to fix something, or what to expect. And then now you walk out with your certificate and you're thinking to yourself, what the do I do now? Like, it's all on you. There's no one telling you what your next steps are. There's no one telling you like what to do next or what not to do next or how to handle something. And it's scary. It's scary to do things on your own. I remember taking my first class, which I took in Houston, and then I immediately went shopping. And while I was shopping, I think it was at Victoria's Secret, I was thinking to myself, like, what did I get myself into? Like, will I ever touch a microblade again? I don't know. I definitely wanted to. I had the drive, I had the passion, I had the intensity to start a business. But actually, I didn't even realize I was starting a business. I thought I was just doing a thing. I was thinking to myself, like, I'll be a microblader. I'm going to do brows. But I didn't think about the millions of other things that come along with becoming a permanent makeup artist, which is running a business. Do you realize that you opened a business? Most people do not realize that when they got that certificate, they were basically saying, hey, I am a business owner now, which means that you have to wear all the hats: the marketing, the inventory, the taxes, the policies, dealing with client relations. I've got two people to call back right now who want to reschedule or have questions, or to, like, you have to be the mom basically. And I don't think that anybody really thinks about that part when they take the class. But once you get the certificate and you walk outside of the building and you're on your own, reality hits. And that's one of the scary parts. So if you're feeling that, just know everyone feels it. You will get through it. Like, don't panic, basically. Just DM me. Don't panic, just DM me. And that kind of slides into my next point, which was imposter syndrome. So my entire first year of business, I kept telling myself and other people, yeah, I would do that if I were a real business. Or like one day when I have a real business, like when this is a real business, then I'm going to do XYZ, or that's when I'll try out whatever, or that's when I'll be able to something or something. Well, I can't do that yet because I'm not a real business. Maybe you are a real business. And you're going to know that you're a real business when you have to file your taxes and you owe real dollars, or when you have to pay your insurance and it costs real money. And they're talking about real clients, or when a client shows up and has a complaint and you have to call your insurance. And you'll never have that like you do in your first year of business. I'll tell you that right now. Like, being able to create and enforce policies is probably the biggest feat that you should accomplish in your first couple of months of business. You need to make really clear-cut policies and post them. They should be on your website, and they should be on your booking system, and they should be really clear to both the client and to you, because you're going to have to actually enforce them. Scammers smell fear. They smell it, and they're going to come after you. I'm telling you right now, you will never have complaints and problems like you do in your first year of business. In my first year of business, I remember the first person who tried to bully me into a refund for no good reason. I remember the first one. She came to me and saying that she was a doctor, and she laughed while she signed her form saying, like, I'm a doctor, I should know better, but I never read stuff like this. I'm not worried about it. Ha 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 ha. Like, okay, if that's what you want to do, but you are contracts count. You are beholden to what you're signing. So I'd prefer if you read it. And I did everything that I was supposed to do. I did her brows. They look great. She said they look great. Everybody was happy with that. And I went over the aftercare with her. And when I checked her out, I rebooked her for her 8 to 10 week touch up. So she knew that there was going to be a second session. A couple of weeks go by. All of a sudden, I get one of those boomer selfies, like of this. She thinks that she sent me a brow photo, but actually, she sent me a big picture of her forehead. And it's like blurry and taken on like a disposable camera. I don't know. And no words, just that picture. So I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. And then she texted me back something along the lines of they're not there, there's nothing there, or where's the color, something along those lines. I don't know, this was years ago. But it was a Sunday, and my 1-year-old and I were actually sitting in the walk-in clinic because he had a fever. And I was just grateful that he was old enough that a walk-in clinic would take him. Because, under like 8 months or something, walk-in clinics won't see them. You have to call the pediatrician. It's Sunday afternoon. They're not open, whatever. The point is I was stressing. New mom, new business owner. I'm stressing. So I messaged her back and was like, well, if you'll refer to your aftercare card, it actually tells you that like between weeks 2 and 4, a lot of the color is going to disappear, but this is not your final result. It's called the disappearing phase. And I'm trying to explain how like the skin is not completely healed. You haven't gone through a full skin cell cycle yet, which takes 28 to 30 days on young, healthy skin. So on her skin, it might be more like 30 to 45 days or something, your skin cell turnover rate kind of slows down. As your skin cells turn over, they're actually going to bring up some of that color with them, and you'll see color emerge. And then at the touch up, anything that's light or spotty will go over that. That's what the perfecting session is for, right? It works like a second coat of paint on a wall. She tells me, well, that's unacceptable. This is bait and switch. That's a legal term, by the way. So I can already smell what she's cooking up. She's like, this is bait and switch. You sold me eyebrows and said they were going to be one thing. Now you want me to come back a second time? I didn't know this was a 2-part procedure. Bitch, you didn't know? Well, doctor, maybe you should have read your paperwork. And my forms are digital. So I'm really aggravated because I've said several times now some things along the line of like, I'm happy to talk to you about this Monday. I can give you a call tomorrow at 9 during business hours. Like I'm telling her, hey, you're intruding on the weekend. If no one has told you yet, I'll tell you right now. There's not one single emergency in permanent makeup. There's not. There's no, think of an emergency. There's none. Even if somebody had like a crazy bacterial infection and needed medical care, don't call me, call a doctor. What are you calling me for? What do you want me to do? There are no emergencies in permanent makeup. There's never a reason that people need to harass you outside of business hours, and certainly not on a Sunday. And I just couldn't care any less because this lady was clearly just angling. So I opened up Intake Q, which is what I use to host my digital forms, and I screenshot the clause where she said, I understand that microblading is a 2-part procedure, the costs of which are X amount for the first one and X amount for the second one, which should be held between 8 to 12 weeks, no sooner, no longer. Her signature. Sent it to her. I sent her the next clause that said, I understand no guarantees can be made as to how much pigment your body holds because each body metabolizes things differently. Anything spotty or light will be handled at the touch-up session, blah, blah, blah. Her signature, screenshot it, sent it to her. And then there was a third one. I don't remember what it was, but there were 3 different clauses that basically admitted that this was going to be more than one session and spelled out exactly what was going to happen, what to expect. I think it was about the disappearing phase. I understand that there will be a quote disappearing phase where, color goes away because the skin has exfoliated and the new skin cells have not turned over, whatever. So I sent her all these clauses and she messaged me back, I'm a doctor. You can't tell me anything about the way that my skin heals itself. My skin is healed. No, your skin is intact. Your skin has shed its scab, but it's not healed all the way down to the bottom layers. Like, leave me alone. Your skin didn't heal in 2 weeks, baby. That's not how injuries work. But, she's a doctor. She can't tell her anything. So she said, well, you know what? Fine. Then I will see you for my touch-up session. So then I sent her a 4th clause that said, this contract can be terminated at any time. And I fucking fired her. And I told her to go to someone that I thought really deserved a headache. I was like, you know where you should go? You can go and get a touch up at blank, blank, blank. That you guys would be far better matched. I no longer feel like we're aligned, just because of the way that you were speaking to me. And you clearly don't trust me as an artist. So I'm uncomfortable moving forward. And she was really mad about that. And she wanted a refund. And I sent her the clause that said, no refunds. I can cancel you as a client at any time, blah, blah, blah. Don't let people push you around. This lady originally was texting me because she thought she was going to get a full refund by complaining. But I already CYA'd. I already had her sign all the clauses, and she was well informed, or should have been if she had read what she was signing, well informed on how the process actually works. And people are going to threaten you with bad reviews. Fucking leave me a bad review. I don't give a fuck. Leave me a bad review. I have a 1-star review on Google right now that says, beware, the owner is not that nice. And that wasn't even from a client. That was from someone who parked in my parking lot and had a flat tire and was rude to me when I went out to offer her water and ask if she needed a tow truck. She was rude to me. I match energies real quick. So I was like, oh, great. You're going to change your tire in my parking lot? Lucky me. And I walked back inside. That's all I said. And she left me a 1-star review. And the other day, my 6-year-old told me, you're a big meanie, when I told him he couldn't have something. And I said, I know, Google me. Like, I just couldn't care. Because clients who actually come here do have a good experience. I do believe in customer service, and I want to give everyone really beautiful work, whether it's eyebrows or liner or lips, or if they're a student. But I'm also going to hold firm on boundaries and on policies. And policies are really just a physical way to express a boundary. I'm not going to be a doormat just because I own a business. And just because you own a business doesn't mean that you are a business. So when you walk out of the door, I absolutely encourage you to put your phone on silent and not answer it. So if somebody DMs you at 11 p.m. and says, how much? Know 2 things. One, they're not serious about booking with you anyway. They are just price shopping. They don't know anything about you or your business. They just know how much your competitor charges, and they want to know if you're cheaper. And 2, respect yourself and stop answering them. Answer them at 9 a.m. You teach people how to treat you. I'm telling you right now, starting year one, because otherwise you're going to get so burnt out and you will be disillusioned. You'll actually start to resent your business because you're going to feel like every time you look at your phone or every time you walk in the door, somebody's complaining to you or asking you for something, or you're always working for free and you don't earn a living because somebody just wanted a touch up. Somebody just needed the, or you needed to squeeze them in, or you can't have a set, or they need to come in on Sunday. That's the only day they can come in. I turn down so much work. I don't care. I turn down so much work. I don't care. Go somewhere else. I don't care. Because I own my own business and I got into this business so that I could raise a family. I wanted to raise a family based around our needs and what my kids need and what my husband needs. And I did not want to have a job where I had to raise a family around the needs of that job. I don't want to be a part-time mom and a full-time employee. So there's no way in hell I'm going to go and create my own full-time job that I have to part-time mom it on. I only get to be a mom for so many years, and then they don't need me anymore. So I'm not missing field trips. I'm not missing sick days. I'm the one who's taking you to the doctor. I'm the one who's laying on the couch watching TVs while you have a fever. I'm the one holding the bucket when you're vomiting. I am the one who gets to go to, they took a field trip to the supermarket the other day. Super one. Okay. Well, I'm going. I'm going to watch you see how deli meat is cut and answer your questions and see how silly you and your friends. I'm going to know all of your friends. I'm that mom. And that is why I went into business for myself. Because I worked a 9-to-5 in a nonprofit, and I realized 2 things. 1, it's right in the name, nonprofit. And 2, I was working essentially 7 to 7. And because I was, quote, salaried, they acted like they owned all my time. So how was I ever going to be a mom? What was I going to do? Get home at 7:30 p.m., feed my infant, bring it to my mom an hour away so I could go back to work, spend another 12 hours there, drive another hour and a half to go get the baby, drive another 45 minutes back home, feed the baby, put the baby to bed, go to sleep, get up, bring it back to my mom. That's not parenting. And it's just not the lifestyle that I wanted. So I can't now give up that dream of owning my time and being able to be an active participant in my family just because my business is becoming more successful. Just because there's more demand for my services doesn't mean that I have to lose more of my personal time. So again, I'm asking you to set and enforce your own boundaries. And it's not selfish. It's actually the only reason that you work. If you just want to go to work and go home without any problems, you could go to work at Target. You could go to work at Target, and when you're off the clock, nobody's calling you, as far as I know. Nobody's calling you and complaining to you and whatever. So your business comes with its own set of headaches. It's up to you to enforce the boundaries around them. Otherwise, why even own a business? That's my main point, I would say. Secondly, yes, you need to actually own the business and run the business, but you have to run the business like a business, which means that you need a business plan for the future. I don't want you to just be making decisions in the moment as you go round and round, like, oh, okay, here's an opportunity. I'll do that. Oh, okay, well, we'll add this on and just see what happens. You're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. That's not running a business. That's having a hobby that's very expensive, actually. So you need an actual plan for your business. You should be thinking to yourself, like, what's next, or what am I working toward? Even if you don't know necessarily what your overall big dream is for the business, because that could change. Your goals can change as you experience new things or learn new things. You should always be running the business as a business so that you are prepared when an opportunity arises. Case in point, I never saw myself owning commercial real estate. I never thought about it. I didn't think that was possible. That was completely out of reach in my brain. But I did really have a really good CPA, and I am a pretty solid bookkeeper as far as like receipts and stuff. And I don't overspend. I'm just not an overspender. So there was money in the business account and my books were in order when all of a sudden I realized that I needed more room because I added Brow Sister, my products business. I needed more room because originally I was renting a warehouse in Ohio. I was done with that and I was going to do it myself. I was going to pack orders myself, like pack and pull, as they call it. So where was I going to do that? At the house? I didn't have any room at the place where I was renting. So I started looking around and I realized that actually a mortgage might be the same or even cheaper than what I was paying in commercial rent, because you have the rent, but then you have CAM fees, right? Triple net. So a lot of the places I was looking at were smaller and costing more. So on a whim, I asked my husband, what if we had a warehouse? At the time, I was really loving Jeffree Star on YouTube. I love him and Shane Dawson series. And I realized that he had this gigantic warehouse where, yes, they package all of his stuff and sell all of his stuff and hold all of his stuff. But also there was another side that was all offices. So he had like a place to do product photo shoots, and he had a break room where everybody could have lunch or have snacks or whatever. And he had a board room, which I thought was really cool that it's all in one spot. And then you know who else had it? And Kylie Jenner had the same thing. She had a giant warehouse that had offices and also a glam room and a photo shoot room and a place for her products where all of her products live, and they pack and pull them right there. So I started thinking, why don't I have that? Because I have all the same things. I also have products. I also teach classes and need a meeting space. I also actually see clients and need to service clients. So why don't I put all of those in one space? And across the street from my home, just so happened, there was a hardware store that's essentially a warehouse that was for sale. And it had been for sale for some time. Now, it was definitely out of my price range. But let's just go look at it. Let's just go look at it. So my husband and I went and looked at it, and it turned out, just by a twist of fate, that the guy knew my husband's dad, who's deceased. I never met him. He knew my husband's dad. He really liked him, and he basically begged us to make him an offer. So because we got him down about $50,000 on that, we were able to purchase it, but it was still like $350,000. It was still a lot of money. But I got the loan for the mortgage because my books were clean. They were ready to go. I was already prepped and ready to go. So you just never know what opportunity is going to come up for you. So now I own 4,300 square foot of commercial real estate, plus the half an acre next door on the main drag in town. And I don't buy property your first year because it's kind of a headache, I'll be honest. Like, the mortgage is just the tip of the iceberg, because then we had to do a build out, and we had property taxes doubled this year. And then your insurance on the building is crazy. Plus, you have to have liability insurance for your actual services. Plus, I have liability insurance because of products. Like, it's kind of a nightmare, actually, but it's dope. And I could always sell it. It could be a retirement for me. But I just never thought that it would be possible for me. And instead, when opportunity presented itself, I was prepared. Same thing happened when I opened my training school. I didn't think I was going to become an educator. I didn't think that I was going to have an actual school that's franchised across 6 states and counting now. So, which, by the way, if you're in Florida and you want to start teaching, I really need an educator out there. Let me know. So I just so happened to have taken copious notes through all of the classes that I had taken. And then also, as I'm going through all of my different clients, I'm gaining experience, right? So I'm learning why we don't use this pigment, or why we don't use this needle on this type of skin. So my education was preparing me to actually help someone. So when the opportunity came up to teach someone, when someone wanted me to teach them, and I had a good relationship with my inspector, I was able to very easily actually put together my own curriculum and go through the process in my state to become a trade school, which is how you have to teach here. You have to become a licensed trade school under the Board of Regents. The process takes about 9 to 10 months, but it was relatively stress-free for me. There was a lot of waiting on people to approve things. Relatively stress-free on me, because I had all the notes. All I had to do was actually create my own thing. All I had to do was open up Canva and get started. It's pretty easy. Preparation meeting opportunity is going to be the number one thing that pushes your business forward. If opportunities meet you and you're not ready for them, you can't afford them, or you don't have your shit together, the opportunity will pass you by and somebody else is going to seize that opportunity. It's just the truth. You need to be prepared, and you need to be thinking long term. You should always be thinking like 2 steps ahead of yourself. So the goal isn't to get clients. The goal is to get lots of experience, so that as your business grows, you can do something with that experience, whether it's selling online courses or becoming an educator or creating a product. So we're thinking long term. It's not today, but we're thinking long term. And then the next thing is, like, don't just guess your way through it. Like I mentioned, it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and just seeing what sticks. That is the most expensive way to run a business, because you're going to invest in a lot of different courses, in a lot of different trainings, in a lot of different products. You're going to do permanent jewelry. You're going to do teeth whitening. You're going to do tooth jewels. You're going to do spray tanning. You're going to do dermaplaning. You're going to do lash lifts. You're going to do everything except work on your business. And it's just a distraction. Each of those things is just a distraction. It's another like, ooh, I'm going to make some money. Like, how? How? The only thing that you're doing is spending money. And then if you don't have a solid plan on how to market and launch the thing, it's just going to sit in the room, gaining dust. You're never going to sell it. It's not going to earn you any money. There will be no what's called ROI. There will be no return on investment for that for you. So if you don't know how to launch something or how to attract clients, and by the way, that's a whole nother story. But when people say, who's your ideal client? And you say, anybody who'll pay, or anybody who'll pay full price. Baby, that's literally just a client. That's not your ideal client. That's just a client. I have an entire video on my YouTube about figuring out who you're attracting, who your ideal client should be. But if you don't know how to do those things, and you find that you're just guessing your way through it, instead of wasting all that time and effort and energy and money, buy a cheat sheet. Get a coach. Just get a coach. So there's plenty of coaches, but I can only speak for myself as a beauty business educator. I coach over at VIPMU, which is a conglomerate, right? So it's not just me. There are 4 of us who coach there. We have 2 expert skills coaches. So they do live calls where they talk to you about needles and pigment and how your hand moves and stretches and why did this heal this way, and let me see your healed work and I'll show you how to fix it, and hand speed and needle hang and all that good stuff. We have a sales coach who sits there and goes through Okay, how are you talking to people in the DM? You were too short with her. That's why she didn't book. Or how do you word this text to get somebody back on your books? Or how do you close the sale? Or what does it even look like to open up a conversation with someone about sales? Or when somebody DMs you price, how do you get out of just saying a blanket price, which might not even be the real price because you don't know anything about the client. You haven't seen the brow or the skin or anything. What do you say? How do you navigate it? She is super good at all things sales. And then there's me, who walks you through all of your business ventures, right? So making a plan, understanding your marketing, crafting a campaign or a launch, and figuring out how to not just build brand awareness, but also how to scale your business. So you can actually get an entire game plan without buying this course and that course, and a course on needles, a course on pigments, a course on color theory, a course on how to sell something, a course on how to make. Just get a coach, somebody who's already done it and somebody who's still doing it. That's the thing right there. Don't buy any education. You don't have to buy from me. Don't buy education from someone who's not doing the thing, because their information is either going to be outdated or absolutely fabricated. Like, J-Lo really fucked people up when she was in that movie where she danced with Richard Gere. She was like a ballet instructor or something. And she was like, those who can do, those who can't teach. A bunch of girlies took that to heart and said, oh, I'm an educator now. I'm a coach now. I'm a beauty business consultant. Like, where's your business though? Your only business is consulting. Where's your business? Blink, blink, blink. So make sure whoever you're working with has boots on the ground and understands the market in 2024. That's going to be very important for you, or whatever year it is when you watch this. So, yeah, if you're interested in VIPMU, I'll link it below. If you want to go and look for other people, just follow those guidelines. But getting a coach is literally a fast pass to getting to your goals, and having someone that you can, when you walk out with that certificate and you feel to yourself like, fuck, I'm on my own. What do I do now? You're not on your own. You're not on your own. Just buy somebody who has an entire playbook ready to go. I've already done it, so I'll just tell you how to do it. And don't worry, VIPMU is not $10,000, not even half of that. So anyway, options are out there for you. And my business really took off once I started focusing on marketing and skill set. Like, you have to have both. One hand washes the other. And I was so well prepared that I could grow and scale my business very quickly. I've been in business for 8 years now, almost a decade of experience. And I offer it here to you all the time on the GlamLife podcast. I'm happy to customize that information for you. They're turning up the volume in class, which means that I'm talking too loud. I'm going to go rejoin my class, and I will see you here next week.